This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. I've been using Anchor as my podcast host for a while now, and it's been a pleasure to use. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part, and you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Thursday, February 16th, 2023. Let's talk about the news. From the Wall Street Journal, EU lawmakers vote to ban sale of new gasoline-powered cars from 2035. The European Parliament has voted to approve a law that will ban the sale of most new gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles from 2035 onward, similar to new laws in Canada, the UK, Norway, and the US state of California. This law also requires that emissions for new cars and vans sold from 2030 onward are 55% and 50% lower than 2021 levels, respectively. The EU is already the second largest market for electric vehicles worldwide after China, and this new set of rules is meant to give car makers clarity while also nudging them to transition toward a renewables-oriented catalog more rapidly. From the Financial Times, Erdogan under fire as shoddy Turkish building standards exposed by earthquake. The damage from an earthquake along the Turkey-Syrian border continues to be tallied, and so far more than 40,000 people have been confirmed killed, and more than 50,000 buildings in Turkey have been flagged as too damaged to be allowed to remain standing. Many of these buildings were constructed using shoddy materials and money-saving methods, their flaws forgiven as part of an amnesty Turkish President Erdogan granted back in 2018, and he's facing criticism today as those flawed buildings continue to collapse or show themselves in need of near-future collapsing following this disaster. The Turkish government has started to arrest the developers and builders responsible for some of the largest buildings that have collapsed, but a pushback against Erdogan is beginning to build, especially since a video of him bragging about granting this amnesty several years ago has resurfaced and been widely shared. It's estimated that about half of all buildings in Turkey do not conform to building safety standards, in large part because of this and earlier amnesties for those who failed to build according to code. And from Axios, Scottish leader Nicola Sturgeon resigns. The Scottish First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, announced yesterday that she will resign from her role in government. This announcement came as a surprise to many and has been widely compared to the recent resignation of now former Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand, as both women cited the changing nature of politics towards something more brutal as part of the rationale for their stepping down from higher office. Sturgeon has recently come under fire for her support of a policy that would make it easier for Scottish people to legally change their official gender, and her party has struggled a bit with internal disagreements over their support of a second referendum on independence. Her party has started the process of finding her replacement, and she will stay on as First Minister until they have chosen a successor. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.